Joining us now on the line is Ann Coulter, the author of In Trump We Trust. Ann, say hello to Howard Kurtz from Fox News Channel.
Hello.
Hey, Ann.
Ann, you're in the headlines today.
I pointed this out.
Yes.
Are you,
Because the media is lying as usual.
well, how about the fact that I've been pointing this out to Howard Kurtz and everybody else? I mean, this is a policy that was in play all through the Obama years. And Gayle King, let's play the cut for Ann. I don't know if you've heard this, Dave. This is Gayle King this morning. Someone from ICE or the Border Patrol is trying to explain to her that this is not a Trump era policy. And listen to her response.
And so when we're talking about zero tolerance policy, we have done different efforts throughout the years. 2014, we started detaining this population of family units.
But Chief, let me stop you for just a second,
yes,
because I don't want to go back to 2014.
Doesn't that sum it all up, Ann?
There was a border agent, I don't know who's I think the guy in charge of what's going on down at the border yesterday on MSNBC, and he started to describe what was happening. So since that's all MSNBC is talking about, they cut to him, he introduced a few people, says, hello, and as soon as he gets into an explanation, Alex Witt cuts away. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 35 minutes past the hour. Guess we'll have to go to... Do these people have any humanity? No, they won't allow any facts to come out. They're absolute liars. And the fact that they turn around and go straight to the Holocaust with me, when they're the ones who are denying murders happening right in front of our eyes of all of these illegal aliens. There was the one, I don't know if you saw, I tweeted last week, 14-year-old kid who had just not graduated, but he was a big football star in Lansing, Michigan. I mean, this isn't even Southern California. It's not North Carolina. It's not where you think of there being lots of Mexican illegal aliens, but mowed down by an illegal and killed. It was all over the news up in Michigan. I tweeted out one of the media sites that the local news that ran it. No, I guess they think that Kate Steinle, her family, they're crisis actors. And Don Rosenberg, whose kid was mowed down and run over twice. What am I saying? 3 times with a car. His son was on a motorcycle. Run over, backed up again, run over again. No, these are all crisis actors. When in fact, and I know you have a smart listenership who have read Adios America, Chapter 15 has case after case, site after site, including from the New Yorker and the New York Times, about how all these asylum cases, they're all BS. They are given scripts by left-wing groups, as we know is happening now with this Countries Without Borders. This is a political movement to bring all of Latin America into this country. The New Yorker had a long description on it just a few years ago. These idiot journalists can't find it. I cited the New Yorker. I cited my book. You could just look at the footnotes in Chapter 15 and find the New York Times has even written about it, as I was just tweeting out.
Right. No, the White House today sent out a New York Times story about this whole bill and about how President Trump asked Congress to amend this legislation so that this kind of
catch. No, I don't want it amended. No, and plus, who cares if this started under Trump or Obama? What, the left's argument is Trump is a liar, therefore we get to wreck your country? No. No, these are fake, phony frauds. This is a political movement to bring people in. Of course they're using children. Of course they're having children weeping and crying. What are we going to do, take in all of Latin America? And by the way, these are the people who say that America itself, we're a hateful country, we're misogynist and the rape culture, and we're so racist. They're always telling us how racist Americans are. Why would you want to bring people into a country that's such a horrible place?
I agree, but you know what they're saying? They're separating families at the border. But, I just pointed out last hour, if I rob a bank, I'm going to be separated from my family, right? If an American commits a crime, aren't we separated from our families? Isn't that part of law and order?
If they want to stay with their families, they can be deported together. They can leave together. They don't have to come in. I mean, what people are seeing with this utterly political crisis at our border that, as I say, was organized by this left-wing group, Countries Without Borders. We think their position is, their ideological position is, we should not have a border, and they are dragging these people in. let's just acknowledge this openly and honestly. That's what's going on. They're the ones who are getting these people killed, not because they're trying to help anyone. They're trying to wreck America.
Howard, do you want to say anything?
One thing I would say is that the press's general coverage of this immigration issue completely ignores the fact that these are all things, and there's so many examples of this, that candidate Trump talked about in the campaign. But I think the media, first of all, didn't expect him to win. Second of all, didn't really take him seriously. Oh, one season, obviously, he's not going to do all this stuff. So when he does it, there is this sort of outrage. And I just say, look, well, if he didn't try to do these things, he would be breaking, his promises to his voters.
And I think you were closer to him than I was when he came down. When he came down the escalator there, I didn't take him seriously until he started talking about the wall.
You had a lot of company.
And when he started talking about the wall, he caught my attention and 60 million other people's attention, right? I mean,
yes,
this is what it's all about.
He has the people with him. Look, America is a very compassionate country, but you could be the most compassionate person in the world if every time a little orphan comes knocking at your door, you say, oh, yes, of course I'll let you in. And then the orphan has, a criminal gang behind it that rapes and robs you. The 15th time the door is knocked on, you're not letting them in. That is where the American people are right now. We need to take care of our own. We need to take care of the families of the angel moms and Don Rosenberg, and a little kid last year was mangled by an illegal alien who was deported 15
Matthew
times.
Denise's mother here in Milford, Massachusetts, who was run over by a drunk Ecuadorian who then backed over him too, just like Don Rosenberg's kid.
Right. No, I guess the media think these are all crisis actors.
No, these are anecdotes.
The angel moms are
That's
all
what they call them, anecdotes.
Frauds.
They call these anecdotes. Someone was actually saying that I was talking about FBI corruption in my column yesterday, Howard. These are just anecdotes. That's an old Deval Patrick, Barack Obama. Hey,
not if you're dead.
And what about Elian Gonzalez? Where were all these people when Elian Gonzalez was sent back to Cuba? I don't recall an outcry from this crowd.
No, they were very happy because Cuba was one of the last remaining communist countries. That's also when they turned against Russia, when Russia was no longer communistic. But no, these asylum cases, as described again in Chapter 15 of my book, which, even if you're a complete moron, i.e. an American journalist, there it is.
Howard is grimacing.
It right there on TV. You can look up all the footnotes. With case after case, basically every asylum case is either a proved fraud or a fraud that hasn't been proved yet. Every time some asylee raises his head, the mastermind of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, Ramzi Youssef, why was he here? Asylum. The famous Somali ma'am. Remember her? She was Time Magazine's most important people. She was supposed to be a victim of Cambodian sex trafficking. Nicholas Kristof wrote about her constantly for 10 years. She was accepting awards, this, that, so much money, an international bestseller. Total fraud, grew up in a middle-class family, just made the whole thing up.
Hey, how about the Sarnievs? How about the Sarnievs in Boston
That's
here?
Right.
They came in under the asylum program.
The woman who accused, what's his name, the French guy who was accused of raping that maid.
Yeah.
Remember the head of the IMF?
Right, I do remember him, yes.
Yeah, okay, only because she made a spectacle of herself did anyone look into what she was doing here. Total fraud asylum case. And how do they do this? As described in an article in the New Yorker that apparently no journalist in America can get his hands on, even though it's right there in Adios America, and I've been tweeting it to them, but then they write their articles lying about me anyway. The New Yorker describes, and this is not even a big cause celeb like what they're doing at the border right now, just day-to-day asylum cases. There are these left-wing groups in New York, and they have scripts for them to read, and they tell them what country you claim to be from. Sometimes they're not even from the right country. They say what you're supposed to say the alleged persecution is. The New York Times has written about it, also in 2011, weirdly enough. They had one Russian gal claiming asylum because she said she was gay and being persecuted in Russia. According to the New York Times, she later told her lawyer, I'm not gay. I don't even like gay people. This is a big scam of the left wing.
Well, gay is a good way to go because who really knows, right?
Right.
You
well,
can't
there are a lot of
prove
good
it or
ways to
disprove
go.
it. All right.
You had the top journalists in America look at Fetting Somali Ma'am for a decade, and they couldn't figure out she was a fraud. How is an immigration court going to do it?
And Coulter, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. Say goodbye to Howard.
Goodbye.
Hi, Ann.
To talk to you next week, Ann.